Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, September 21st. So welcome to the very last day of Virgo season. We are about to jump into Libra season here tomorrow, which also triggers the equinox energy. If you have not listened to September's energy forecast, please go do so. If you have not listened to Libra season and the equinox forecast, please go do so. And if you have not listened to this week's ascension forecast, I'm going to recommend you do that too. Why? Because the last day of any season, while a planet is preparing to jump out of one energy and into the other, is always tense. It's always extreme. It always comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of craziness, a lot of chaos. Not to mention that we are closing out a season, a cycle. The equinox energy restores balance, gives us an even playing field, which means that the closer we get to that equinox energy being fair and balanced, where day and night are equal, the more extreme, the more intense our thoughts and our emotions are going to be. We cover all of that in the ascension forecast for this week, and the physical symptoms that we can expect to accompany these energy shifts. I definitely recommend that you educate yourself, you stay informed, and you stay ahead of the game. So we have the moon in Leo all day. This should really help us out in getting really real with ourselves, in touch with our heart space, in touch with our passions, in touch with our desires. It will, again, make it very easy for us to tap into the boldness that we need, the bravery, the courage that we need to stand in our truth, to stand in our power, to stand in our truest, fullest expression of self, and to pursue the mission, the purpose, the path, the new direction that many of us have been hesitant to take and to make. So we are going to get this fire energy from the moon in Leo, just kind of activate and ignite a lot of the sparks within us that we've been lacking for quite some time, because we don't have a whole hell of a lot of fire energy working with us in the cosmos right now. We have 8 different aspects here today, so I'm going to say it's a relatively quiet day, but it's not going to be. It's going to be intense. And 6 of them involve the moon in Leo. So please just keep in mind that the last day that we are shifting out of an energy and preparing to shift into another, let alone jumping out of a season and out of a cycle into a new one, is always filled with pressure. You will feel the pressure in your headspace, in your heart space. Things might be coming at you at the outside world. It may feel like you're reaching a breaking point. It may feel like you're a little bit cray-cray, a little bit chaotic in your inner realm, and that, life is just spiraling out of control in moments. That is 100% natural. It should be expected. That's why I put out all the forecasts, so that you're not taken by surprise or taken off guard. We can come into these energy days knowing damn well what to expect, so that we're not rocked off of our game. We can stay ahead of it. We can act as the observer. We can laugh our way through it instead of falling to our knees and crying and curling up into a ball. That is my hope. That is my wish. That is my prayer, is that we handle these energies with as much grace and ease as possible. So the moon in Leo is going to trine with Jupiter, who is retrograde in Aries energy. Jupiter being retrograde in Aries energy is the only other fire that we have working for us, but it's not a fire that's helping us push forward or initiate or start something new. It's more of a reflective energy of where it is that we popped off and tried to attempt something new, tried to break free, tried to establish a new beginning and chapter back in April and May, and where it is that we have either been successful or unsuccessful in doing that, and what it is that we would do differently if given a redo opportunity, which we will have here in a couple of months. Now, Jupiter is all about growth, all about expansion, all about blessings and abundance and beliefs, and that starts with the beliefs within ourselves. The moon in Leo is really helping us to get in touch with our true, raw, authentic feelings and emotions. And this trine is helping us to kind of boss up and see where it is that, we need to be proud of our efforts to grow, to improve our situation. We need to hold a certain level of royalty, because that Leo energy is royalty, the heart and soul of the zodiac, where we need to kind of rise above and hold this very high, I'm going to say, position in our lives for us to say, you know what, it might not have worked out the way that I intended to, but at least I tried. And guess what? I'm not going to stop trying. I'm going to continue to push. I'm going to continue to pursue. I'm going to continue to be true to myself. I'm going to be continuing to put myself out there, speak my truth, and really just continuously push for my truest potential. The moon in Leo semi-squares, which is a little bit of tension. Here's where we kind of lose our little lackluster, I'll say, with Venus, who is in Virgo energy. Now, the moon is our emotions, is our intuition, and Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and money. She's in Virgo energy, trying to solve some of the issues that we've identified, where it is that we haven't been taking care of ourselves, where it is that we're lacking discipline in having a good system, a good structure in our day-to-day lives to make sure that we are operating from a state of health and wellness and wholeness within ourselves. It is also illuminating for us what is broken in our relationships and where it is that we need to make a little bit more effort to fix it. And the moon in Leo, which is a fire energy, making this little bit of tension with Venus, who is in Virgo, which is an earth energy, is always frustrating. I want to give you the analogy, fire and earth, okay? If we're balanced in our excitement, in our passion, in the way that we exert ourselves to go after said dream, desire, goal, whatever the case may be, that's fire energy. If we're able to balance that with the action, the discipline, the strength, the foundation needed, which is the earth energy, then we have a beautiful campfire, a steady burning campfire that will give us the heat and the light, the spark, the passion, the drive that we need to continue to move forward. If there's too much fire, so too much passion, too much action, too much, spark, too much fire, it will burn itself out by burning through all the earth, and essentially the flame will go out. It could also burn the whole freaking forest down, right? And on the other side of it, if there's too much action, too much discipline, too much building and creating without passion and desire, which is that fire element, we get snuffed out of passion and desire altogether. When you throw a shovel full of dirt or sand on a campfire, the fire goes out, the light goes out, the passion goes out. So we do have to balance things out. And this particular aspect is not suggesting that we are balancing anything out. What it is suggesting is that we are frustrated because we're not able to take action on the passions, on the desires that we currently have. Because again, we have 6 planets in retrograde. We are not in the time or the season to take active moves outside of ourselves in our external realm. We are doing the inner work needed to prepare ourselves for said action that again is coming in October when all these planets start going direct. But right now, the moon in Leo isn't able to take action in the way that we wish we could. And what we're left with is expressing ourselves and being semi-over dramatic with our emotions, with our truth. And let me just say that it's not going to be received well if you find yourself in a situation in a personal relationship where you're trying to have a heart to heart, because Venus being in Virgo energy is kind of cold, kind of rigid. There's not a whole lot of emotion there. We're more focused on the logical, practical actions that need to be taken to show affection, to show love, instead of just overstating our feelings and being a little bit of dramatic about it. So we are going to run into a little bit of a cluster F with this particular energy because we're not able to take action and make moves the way that we would like, and that frustrates the hell out of us. We're still trying to determine what is the best method for us to implement in our daily lives in order for us to take care of ourselves. There's still some confusion. There's still some details that we have to sort out. And this in itself is just creating a little bit of irritation and frustration because things aren't moving as fast as the fire energy would like. We're moving at a snail's pace, which is the earth energy. It's low, it's slow, it's strategy, it's calculated moves, which the moon in Leo, not so happy with. We would prefer grandiose actions and spontaneous actions in order to, go after our passions and desires. And Venus just is not down with that whole vibe. Mars goes ahead and makes a very positive interaction with Jupiter. So here is where things are going to get big. First of all, Jupiter magnifies whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. And Mars, of course, being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, and our passion, is slowly but surely identifying one path, one direction, one choice, one decision over the other. Of course, he's in Gemini energy, so there's a lot of mental processing going on. There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of pros and cons. But here's what I will say. Mars energy can be inspired, can be motivated, can be hell-bent and determined to pursue the path to the soul's purpose, mission, and passion. Jupiter is all about growth, all about magnifying where improvements need to be made, and also really hyping us up with optimism, with confidence, with just elated, over-exaggerated sometimes, sense of emotion where our beliefs are concerned. And right now, Mars and Jupiter believe that anything is possible. We are renewing ourselves, our spirit, our trust. We are testing ourselves with the process that we know that we have to be going through right now. We are trusting the greater, grander plan that the universe has from us. And optimally speaking, we may get a huge burst of energy right now in order for us to clean up the mess that is currently in our lives, in our environments, that have remnants of the past that will be preventing us from having the space to create and give birth to new elements that, of course, we have a desire to pursue. We also, I will say this only because although this is a positive aspect, not all of us are in the positive vibrations and can very easily manifest the not so nice parts of these aspects as well. So there is going to be a small group of us that are just feeling so overwhelmed, so just feeling the impulse to take action, to make a move, to pursue, to jump into something new. I would advise against that because we're not in the time or season to be doing that. This could also trigger an over-exaggeration of irritation, frustration, and anger because we're not able to go as fast as we would like, to make the kind of strides, leaps, and bounds that we would like in, the progress of our growth, of our improvement. There could be that shadow element where there's just magnified not so nice thoughts and feelings where anger could come creeping out. But for the most part, I feel like most of us are going to be jiving with this energy, really tapping into where it is that we are, tapping into this warrior-like energy to boss up and step up to the plate of any challenges that we may face, because we are clearly starting to lean towards one path and direction over the other. And because this is the last day of Virgo energy, because this is the last day of the old season and cycle, things are going to feel extreme. And this is why I say to you, you have to be mindful about your energy and how you will let it manifest. And with Jupiter involved, everything appears much larger than it actually is. So the feelings that we're feeling, the desires, the passions that are creeping up in us, the impulses that we have to take action, to make a move, to actually just, exert our force out into the world in order to go after what it is that we want, it's going to feel pretty powerful. But here's the thing, we're not supported in doing that right now. This is a time of patience. This is a time of reflection. This is a time of realignment. It's not a bad thing to get excited, to get passionate, to acknowledge those desires. But in Gemini energy, which Mars is, we have to use that energy to formulate a logical, practical, strategic, calculated plan. Okay, we have to use the Gemini energy, which is the mental plane energy. We have to think about things very clearly so that we're not wasting our time and energy. Again, Mars's biggest downfall is that we jump into something, we go to extremes, we go balls to the walls with it, and then we burn ourselves out long before we ever even freaking see the finish line. We do not want to do that. We're in the year of 6. We only have a couple of months left in the year of 6, which is about perfecting the building and creating of the systems, routines, and foundations that will be long lasting enough to support our health and wellness and to support the dreams, the chapters, the beginnings, the cycles that we are about to start building on top of the foundation that needs to be strong enough to actually house them. Jupiter goes ahead and semi-squares Saturn. I want to talk about this for a second, mostly because from 2020 to 2021, we had a lot of Jupiter and Saturn energies. A lot of them were squares, but a semi-square is a lesser tension, a lesser conflict than a major square. But I want you just to reflect back to 2020, and I want you to see where it is that you've taken 2 steps forward, right? Growth, improvement, we're moving forward. And then all of a sudden something happens and we're taking 2 steps back, where restriction, blockages, challenges, this push us back and push us in the reverse where it doesn't feel like we're making any progress. Then all of a sudden something else happens and we push forward. And this time we're taking 3 steps forward. And then something happens and Mr. Saturn kicked in and brings us back 2 steps. Now, we did make 1 step forward in that particular progression of energies. But since 2020, we have seen the expansion, the growth, the improvement, which Jupiter is all about. And then we've seen the restriction, the blockages, the challenges that Saturn is all about. In that time, and many times since, I've used the accordion analogy. When Jupiter is active, we see the accordion stretch out. We see the accordion go to its fullest potential in expansion. Then we see Saturn's energy kick in, and that accordion is being pressed together, compressed back to its smallest form, its smallest size. So we have expansion, constriction, expansion, constriction. Now, Jupiter is in a retrograde as Saturn is. So this is an inner realm journey. Okay. We're not seeing change happen in the outside realm. We're not seeing steps forward in the outside realm and then steps back. What we're seeing is a huge growth, a huge improvement taking place in our inner realm. And then those fears, those doubts, those insecurities come in and bring us down a couple of pegs. And then we watch that growth and improvement take a couple steps back. And then we feel restricted and we feel blocked by Mr. Saturn. Now, Jupiter being retrograde in Aries, this is, I'm going to say, an expansion, a realization, a growth, and a progression of improvement of self, of our identity, right? Aries energy is our identity, our ego self. Again, I went on a rant in the ascension forecast for this week about the ego. Many people have the wrong idea about the ego. But here's the thing. We are in a retrograde. This is an inner realignment, an inner recalibration, a readjustment, a revision, a re-edit, a redo, if you will. So Jupiter is about the belief that we have in ourself. Saturn, Mr. Karma himself over in Aquarius energy, is about realizing where we have to build new systems and structures, boundaries, let's say, within ourselves so that we don't let other people, Aquarian energy, which is the collective, dictate what is possible for us, the individual, which is the Aries energy. So here we have Jupiter and Saturn in this little bit of conflict, in this little bit of tension where we're kind of, huffing and puffing and blowing ourselves up in all the right ways. Again, Moon is in Leo, so we have a boldness, a bravery, a courage that we didn't have before to be independent, to be the individual, to be unique, to be our own individual identity selves, which of course Aries energy is all about as well. And then you have Mr. Saturn in a retrograde in Aquarius energy saying, okay, do you really believe that that's possible? Do you really believe in yourself that much? Do you really think that you can grow and improve and change your reality that freaking much? Can you really do this on your own? Can you really, stop yourself from thinking about what other people are going to think of you in order to follow your own passions and desires? That's where we're at. This is an inner dialogue where Negative Nancy and Betty the Bully are representative of Saturn energy, and where we have, let's call it cheerleader Chelsea and hype girl Heather on the representation of Jupiter saying, you can do it. You can do it. We got this. You can be anything you want to be. Believe in yourself. You got this. This is possible. And then again, negative Nancy, Betty the bully over here going, biting off more than you can chew. You're not going to be able to do it when everybody starts talking about you, when you're out on the beaten path by yourself and you don't have any support, you're not going to be able to do it. So here's the inner dialogue that literally is going to tear us apart if we let it. But just keep in mind that this is a necessary inner debate that we have to have with ourselves to find a common ground. Granted, Jupiter tends to over-exaggerate, meaning that, yeah, we do become overly confident. We do go to the extreme points of view where we think that things are possible, but it's likely more of a dream than a realistic possibility. Saturn is the reality check that we all need in order to take those big dreams, those big visions, the big possibilities, and actually strategically build a systematic reality check on what is actually tangibly possible. And neither are good or bad, right? I talk about negative Nancy and Betty the bully like they're bad. They're not. They're a necessary part of our shadow selves that keeps us in check with our over-elated, over-delusional, I'm going to say higher selves that truly believes that anything and everything is possible. We do live in a 3D materialistic realm where there are restrictions, where there are kind of limited abilities to manifest as fast as we would like. And so our higher selves need to kind of come down to earth a little bit in order to see that, everything is possible, but we have to be realistic about what we're actually able to create. And our egoic selves, again, negative Nancy and Betty the bully, need to kind of unroot and ground, kind of free themselves from being so stuck in the here and now to explore the dream realm of what is possible. So we definitely have this energy popping off here today. I'm going to ask you, act as the observer and listen to both sides and step back and create a space for exploration on what both sides are actually talking about, where they're coming from, and what that actually means as far as the new dream, the new vision, the new idea that you are willing to pursue and how you are willing to pursue it. We have the moon bumping into Neptune shortly after, which is going to be a little bit conflicting because, and again, playing off this Jupiter-Saturn energy, because the moon in Leo is connected to the here and now, is very present in the here and now, very connected to the heart space, to the heart chakra. Neptune, who is retrograde in Pisces energy, is not in the present here and now at all. We live in a futuristic realm in this Piscean energy, in this Neptune energy, where we are constantly trying to visualize the dream, the goal, the vision, in order for us to bring it back down into our physical bodies in this present moment so that we can align with our heart space and actually get to manifesting. That's how it works. First, it starts with a vision, you back it with an emotion. That's the manifesting equation. You take action in order to align with said vision and emotion, and you will eventually manifest whatever it is that you're conjuring up in your mental plane and in your heart space. The problem is that the moon in Leo is very connected to the ego realm, the here and now, the intellect, if you will. And of course, the intellect isn't working so well because Mercury is retrograde. And Neptune is the higher self, the intuition. But we're having a hard time aligning with our higher self, with our intuition, because that would mean that we would, kind of have to abandon the here and now, the logic, the practicality of it all. And the moon in Leo is not willing to sacrifice that. We are so present with our heart space, with what it is that makes us happy, with what it is that brings us, joy and pleasure and passion and desire in the here and now, in this physical realm, that the Neptune energy, which is not of this physical realm, it has a hard time communicating to us when we are so present, so grounded in the here and now. So there is this disconnect where we are struggling to align with our higher selves, to trust our intuition, and to grasp a greater, grander vision, dream, plan for the future. And again, playing off that Jupiter and Saturn, one step forward, two steps back kind of thing. It's like we allow ourselves to dream the greatest dream possible. And then we bring it back down to earth to see if it actually is possible. The moon goes ahead and semi-squares the sun. Again, semi-square is a tension point, does not feel good. The moon is our emotions, our intuition, and what it is that we're overly attached to in a past sense, while the sun is our life force energy, the drive that we need to have using our conscious ego to pursue the qualities and characteristics that we need to embody in order to build what it is that we know that we need to build to have a much stronger foundation underneath our feet to house the dreams that we're looking to actually bring to life. So anytime that the sun and the moon are in an interaction, it's like the past and the future come together and they overlap, leaving us here in the present moment to clearly see what it is that we're moving away from and what it is that we need to move closer to. Keep in mind that the sun in Virgo is at the last critical degrees of Virgo energy, intensifying us, figuring things out, solving the problems, finding a place of health and wholeness within us. There's this urgency that comes when the sun is in the last critical degrees of a sign of an energy before moving on. And again, we have not only that ending, we have a whole season and cycle ending as we move into the equinox energy. So what we kind of have here is a whole lot of heart, a whole lot of passion, a whole lot of just wanting to express ourselves, wanting to really get in touch with the here and now, with what's going to make us happy, with what fires us up, versus knowing the sun in Virgo energy that we need to be realistic, controlled, practical, logical in what it is that we're actually building, taking action on in our physical lives to have the foundation set and strong enough to house the dreams, the emotions, the inspirations, the passions, the desires that we're currently acknowledging from the moon being in Leo energy. The moon goes ahead and squares, gets into the boxing ring with the true note, our soul's path, our soul's destiny point. So this is going to bring up a lot of tension for a couple of reasons, but mostly because the moon in Leo wants to take action now, wants to express oneself now, wants to keep that fire, that spark, that flame lit, going aggressively after what makes us happy, what we're being, positioned and activated and triggered to pursue as far as a new mission, a new meaning, a new purpose in our lives. But the thing is we are not supported in the universe right now to be taking any kind of action in our exterior realms. The moon in Leo wants us to, but we are not supported in doing so, which means that the path forward, that the soul's destiny, our true note, that the soul we need to be on in order to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose, is confusing. We don't know what to do with this energy. We don't know what the next step is, right? This is where confusion comes. This is where we feel like we're going to break down, where we feel like we don't know what the answers are, where we don't know if we can take anymore. Again, we're at these critical degrees of ending this energy, ending this cycle. We're definitely feeling the impulse of that. We're feeling the impulse in our heart space, in our emotions, and we're feeling the pressure to have everything sorted out, to have a plan together, to have a mission, to have a purpose to pursue that, technically speaking, we don't have right now. There's a lot of pressure building up here. It can make us feel like there's a sense of urgency. Again, we are at the tipping point of ending this chapter with the equinox coming in here tomorrow. The scales will be reset and rebalanced. We are going to wrap the day up with the moon trining Chiron. This is a beautiful energy because we got fire on fire. Chiron is retrograde in Aries energy. The moon is in Leo energy. We got fire on fire, but with Chiron involved, the wounded healer, this definitely means that we're making some progress. We're making some growth. We are healing some heart wounds. We are healing some issues where we weren't bold enough. We weren't brave enough. We weren't courageous enough to pursue the actions that we know we have to make and take in our exterior realms when given the green light, go ahead to do so. And therefore, we are making some progress in our inner realm. We are seeing where it is that we have to kind of boss up to challenges and obstacles that we're being faced with, where we have to stay true to our heart space, where we have to stay raw and vulnerable to what it is that we're thinking and feeling in order to actually pursue the path forward, the mission, mission forward. Chiron, being the wounded healer, yes, typically does illuminate our wounds, but also it gives us the knowledge and resources to heal said wounds. Because this is a trine, we are seeing improvement in our emotions. We are seeing improvement and growth and progress in what it is that we've been sorting through in our heart space and preparing to pursue in our physical realms. We are making plans, we are strategizing, we are being logical and practical in our approach, but the most important thing is we're staying true to ourselves.